Hi, and welcome back to HRCYED Week 3. So today we're going to be going over a couple different things. First, I wanted to talk about the books that I finished. I finished Eligible, which is part of my Pride and Prejudice video that'll be coming out in the next couple weeks. I say finished, that's kind of generous. I really didn't enjoy this book. You'll hear more of my thoughts in the video, but essentially, it's just a very racist, transphobic, homophobic book. It was published in 2016 and it was very well acclaimed at that point. So I'm not really sure if it would be this well acclaimed like now, but that's kind of what's going on with Eligible. So I gave this one 0.25 stars, which I still felt like was generous. I also finished Heartstopper Volume 3. It might be a while before y'all hear from me about Volume 4 because Book 3 ends with Nick finding out that Charlie has an eating disorder, and I kind of struggle with that or struggled with that. I don't know if you ever truly recover, but reading about eating disorders is not like my most favorite thing to do. So I will probably not be reading volume 4 as quickly as I had hoped. I really enjoyed this one. In this one, they go on a class trip to France. They go to Paris, and it's super cute and romantic until it gets like a little more serious. But they also end up coming out to the rest of the school, and everyone is like super kind and supportive. So I really liked the queer joy that was in this book, even though it does deal with some difficult topics for me. So Heartstopper Volume 4, you'll probably hear about it in the next video, but it might just be a harder read for me to get through. And then I don't have the book because it was an audiobook, but I also finished Quicksilver. That was another read that I super did not enjoy. I think I ended up giving that one 1 star because it was entertaining a little, but the ending in particular was very poorly executed, and I did not enjoy reading it. Like, I felt like it was about 6 hours too long, maybe even 7 or 8 hours too long. I think the whole plot of the book could have been much more concise and compact, and I also think the writing was not of the highest quality, and the male main character was kind of a red flag in general, and there was a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding, and in general I don't really enjoy those tropes because I feel like it's just manufacturing plot for plot's sake or manufacturing conflict in the relationship for conflict's sake. So I did not super enjoy Quicksilver. Now getting on to books that I'm currently reading. I will say that I'm probably going to have to turn in Sugar Run before I finish it. I just couldn't get into it, and I know that it's in the library, so I can always get it back out, but I just could not get into this. I think that this is it's back to school season, and so we're kind of hitting a busy point in my life, and so I'm not really sure if sitting down and reading like a slow literary fiction is really for me right now. So we are definitely going to have to turn in Sugar Run before I get a chance to finish it, and I'll just have to pull it out at another time. So this is going to be a soft DNF for the second time because I tried this a couple years ago and never got all the way through it. I'm also still reading Attached to the Living World. I haven't made a lot of progress, but I do hope to make progress in the next couple days just because I'm so close. I think it's in ABC order and I'm in the V's. So I really only have a couple pages left until we get to the acknowledgments and the bios of all the contributors. So I'm really close. I promise you this will be done by week 4. I will be posting an update about it and I will be so victorious. So that's what's going on with Attached to the Living World. When I'm done with that, I'm going to move on to a lot of poetry collections. So hopefully I'll have a lot of things to share with you in the coming weeks about some thoughts on poetry. I'm also currently reading the Iron Garden Sutra. I'll put a picture of it up, but it's basically like a space opera. I don't usually read I don't usually read sci-fi. It is fully in space. There is not a lot of earth-based elements to it, and there's like whole different cultures to learn about, and there's whole different languages and ways of being and thinking, and it also is apparently a horror novel. So it's a space opera, and then it's also a horror novel. And what ends up happening is the main character Iris gets trapped on this ship that's been abandoned and overgrown for hundreds of years, and there's something hunting them. So right now we're at the point where Iris is getting like a really bad feeling about being on the ship, and he keeps getting these really intense feelings of dread when he's close to the center of the ship. And he has an AI assistant in his head, and the AI assistant is also like kind of upset about what's going on the ship. So right now we're still very much in the building up to the main inciting event, but we're really like getting there, I think, emotionally especially. So I'm really enjoying that one. I'm reading that one for the periodic table prompt because it has iron in the title. Now I want to get to what am I working on. So I finished a lot of projects over the past couple days, so I'm not really working on much anymore. I'm going to start either today or tomorrow. I'm going to cast on these socks. This is by Blue Barn Fiber. So they have a lot of book-based colorways, and this one my wife bought for me kind of as like a whatever present, like a back to school present. This one is for Dungeon Crawler Carl's first book. So you can see the pink and the yellow, which is kind of a nod to the new color, to the new cover. And then this is the black, which is the rest of the cover. And then this is like a contrasting mini skein that they gave me, and I'm going to use it to knit the ribbing, the heel, and the toe. So hopefully I'll have some progress on that next week. I have to pick a pattern for it. So I think I'm going to try to go with something like kind of detailed, but not super detailed, just because I want the color to really shine on this one. So really excited about this coming up. I'm also working on, my wife bought like $150 worth of yarn, and we think it was like a family unhauling or destashing a passed away family member's stash, because it was very inexpensive and it contained a lot of stuff. And one of the things it contained is these giant Karen anniversary cakes. Let me go get one. So it has these giant anniversary cakes of like super bulky yarn, and it's over 1,000 yards. It's 1,029 yards. And so we're actually working on crocheting some granny squares. Not all of the balls of yarn are the same, so we're probably going to have to use like a white yarn to join them all together so that it looks a little more cohesive. But this is the granny square that I made. It has all the colors in it, and it started to repeat around the edge. So you have blue on the edge, and then you have blue in the center. So I'm really excited about this. I do think that the blocks need to be a little bigger. I think we're going to go with 12-inch blocks or 8-inch blocks, just because this looks a little small. I'm not sure. But this is kind of going to be my mindless thing, working on a blanket with my granny square situation, because socks in particular, they're very portable. This is not portable. So this will be my couch project, and then my socks will be my take to work project, because I will be starting work tomorrow, and you bet I'm going to bring some socks for the first couple days of PD, okay? So yeah, this is kind of my second whip, even though the first whip isn't really a whip yet because I haven't done anything to it. And then here's the part I'm most excited about. I ended up locking in and I finished the socks. They turned out really good. I haven't woven in the ends yet because they're still on the blockers. I'm trying to hold them good. But they turned out really well. I super love how the gradient ended up matching across both socks pretty well. There's a little bit of mismatching, but I don't think it's that bad. This was my second sock. This was my first sock. I think in general, the second sock turned out better than the first sock. But there's some weird sort of sizing issue happening where the first sock is the appropriate size and then the second sock is actually like slightly bigger than it's supposed to be. I don't know if my gauge just wasn't locked in for this one or I was knitting too loose, but I'm kind of annoyed about that because since it's a little too big for the blocker, it didn't block out all the wrinkles properly. So I might try to steam block it on my new blocking mats, and I'll let y'all know how that goes. So you might see this next week as well. There's a couple of holes just because I am still figuring out how to join the heel. And here I was trying to figure out how to make the heel, and I didn't do a super great job. So I'm going to take some gray yarn and just kind of close those gaps a little bit. And also on the other side, just kind of tighten up this hole, cinch it closed with some spare yarn. But yeah, so these are for my wife. She's very excited for them, and I'm really happy that they turned out the way that they did. Even though they're not like perfect, I think they're good enough. So that's going to be it for me in terms of what I've been reading, what I'm working on. Oh, I forgot, but I'm also listening to a book called Chlorine by Jade Song, and it is really good. We are about halfway through right now. It's only like an 8-hour audiobook, so I've just been listening to it in my free time. I'll have more information about that one next week, but it's been a really entertaining listen. Not necessarily my most favorite. I went into it thinking it was YA, but it is not YA. I would not necessarily let a child read this just because she goes through so much, and or at least I wouldn't let a child read it without having some kind of conversation that addresses some of the heavy themes in the book. But overall, I think it's really good. I'll have more information next week on what is exactly going on in that book because I'm still not entirely sure. But basically, it's about like a teenage swimmer growing up, being groomed, being assaulted, and how she kind of reckons with that by turning into a mermaid, question mark. Um, so we haven't gotten to the part where she's turning into a mermaid yet, but I think we're getting really close to it. So that's everything from me. I hope y'all enjoyed this update, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye.